Okay, so good welcome and good day once again. Okay, so let's start our class. So week 3 and 4, social interaction. Okay, so people are inherently social. So we live together, work together, learn together, play together, interact and talk with each other, and socialize. A number of technologies have been developed specifically to enable us to persist in being social when physically apart from one another, many of which have now become a part of fabric of society. These include the widespread use of smartphones, video chat, social media, gaming, messaging, and telepresence. Each of these support different ways of supporting how people connect. There are many ways to study what it means to be social. Okay, so in this lesson, we focus on how people communicate and collaborate face-to-face and remotely in their social work and everyday lives with the goals of providing models, insight, and guidelines to inform the design of social technologies that can better support and extend them. So a diversity of communication technologies also examined that have changed the way people live, how they keep in touch, make friends, and coordinate their social and work networks. The conversation mechanisms that have conventionally been used in face-to-face interaction are described and discussed in relation to how they have been adapted for the various kind of computer-based conversation that now take place at a distance. Okay. So example of social phenomena that have emerged as a result of social engagement at scale are also presented. Okay, social interaction. So first being social, face-to-face conversation, remote conversation, telepresence, co-presence, and shareable technologies. First, we have the various mechanism and rules are followed when holding a conversation of mutual greetings. Conversation are supposed to be fun. Okay, so they involve the personal interaction between two or more people about something of interest as per uh, intercourse, talk, familiar, discourse, behavior, or deportment. In other words, conversation is simply talking to someone else, usually informally. For example, Ace will say hi there, then the response is hi or hi, all right. Then the response good, how is it going? Then fine, how are you? Okay, so how's life treating you? So this is a simple conversation. Example of simple conversation. Okay, so being social. Are face-to-face converse excuse face-to-face conversation being superseded by your social media interaction? So how many friends do you have on Facebook, LinkedIn, etc., or real life? How much overlap? How are the ways we live and interact with one another changing? Are the established rules and etiquette still applicable to online and offline? So these are some questions, okay, so that we need to answer. So fundamental aspect of everyday life is being social, and that entails interacting with each other. People continually update each other about news, changes, and development on a given project, activity, person, or event. For example, a friend and families keep each other posted on what's happening at work, at school, at a restaurant, or a club next door. In reality, uh, shows and in the news, similar people who work together keep each other informed about their social lives and everyday events, as well as what's happening at work. For instance, when a project is about to be completed, plans for a new project, problems with meeting, headlines, rumors about closure, and so on. So while face-to-face conversation remains a central to many social interaction, the use of social media has dramatically increased. People now spend several hours a day communicating with others online, texting, emailing, tweeting, Facebook, Skype, Zoom, instant messaging, and so on. It's also common practice for people at work to keep in touch with, with each other. via their social network and family ties have remarkably changed. Okay, during the last 20 years, social media, teleconference, and other social-based technologies have also transformed how people collaborate and work together globally, including the rise of flexible and remote working, the widespread use of shared calendar and collaboration tools, for example, Slack, WebEx, Trello, and Google Docs, and professional networking platforms such as LinkedIn, uh, Twitter, and WhatsApp. A key, a key question that the universal adaptation of social media and other social computing tools in society raise in how it has affect people's ability to connect, work, and interact with one another. Okay, so have the convention, norms, and rules established in face-to-face interaction to maintain social order been adapted in social media interaction, or have a new norms emerged? So these are the questions, diba? So in particular, are the established conversational rules and etiquette whose function is to let people know how they should behave in a social group, also applicable to the online social behavior? Another question. Or how a new conversational mechanism evolved for the various kind of social media. For example, do people greet each other in the same way depending on whether they are chatting online? So do people take turns when online? Okay. So growing concern that is being raised with society is how much time people spend looking at their phones, whether interacting with others, playing games, tweeting, and so on. So it's a consequence on people's well-being. A report on the impact of the decade of smartphone notes that average person is spend more than a day a week online. Often it's the first thing they do upon waking and the last thing they do before going to bed. Okay, which is true. Moreover, lots of people cannot go for long without checking their phone. Even sitting together, they resort to being in their own digital bubbles. Okay. So, beyond the negative impact that this growing trend is having on modern life, especially how it's affecting everyday conversation. Okay, many people also will admit that preparing texting, talking to other. That's easier, require less effort, and it's more convenient. Furthermore, some research show that the children hear adults talking less, they likewise talk less. This turn reduce opportunities to learn how to emphasize. Okay, so while online communication has its place in society, it's time to reclaim conversation where people put down their phones more often and learn the art of joy of spontaneously talking to each other. Okay, on the other hand, it should be stressed that several technologies have been designed to encourage social interaction to good effect. For example, voice assistant that comes with smart speakers such as Amazon Echo device provides a large number of skills intended to support multiple user talking part at the same time, offering the potential for families to play together. An example a skill is often the magic door, which allows a group members, such families, to choose their path in a story by selecting different options through narrative. So social interaction may be further encouraged by the affordance of smart speaker when placed on a surface in a home, such as kitchen, a counter, or mantelpiece. In particular, its physical presence in this shared location affords joint ownership and use similar to other domestic devices such as radio or TV. So this differs from other virtual voice assistants that are found on phones or laptops that support individual use. Okay, conversational rule. Okay, Sachs, say work at conversation analyst describe three basic rules. Okay, the current speaker choose the next speaker by asking an opinion, question or request. Uh, Rule two, another person decide to start speaking, and the rule three is the current speaker continues talking. Okay, so conversational mechanism enable people to coordinate their talk with one another, allowing them to know to start and stop. So through a conversation, for their turn, talking rules are followed that enable people to know when to listen, when it's their cue to speak, and when it's time for them to stop again to allow others to speak. Okay, so famous for their work conversation analysis describe this term of three basic rules, which I read a while ago. Okay, so yung first nga is the rules are assumed to be applied in this order. So whatever there is opportunity for a change of speaker to occur, for instance, someone comes to end the sentence. So yung rule 1 is apply if the listener to whom question or request is addressed does not accept the offer to take the floor. So rule 2, applied and someone else taking part in the conversation may take up the opportunity and offer a view on the matter. If this not happen, then rule 3 is applied. And the current speaker continues talking, the rules are cycled through recursively until someone speaks again. So turn taking used to coordinate a conversation. So another way in which conversation are coordinated and given coherence is through the use of adjacency pairs. So utterances and assume to come in pairs in which the first part sets up the expectation of what is to come next and directs the way in which what does not come next is heard. For example, A may ask a question to B, respond appropriately. Example, so shall we meet at 8? Then B, can we make it a bit later, say 8:30? So sometimes adjacency pairs get embedded in each other. So it may take some time for a person to get a reply to their initial request or statement. So example, so shall we meet at 8? B. So wow, look at them. Okay. Yes, what a funny hairdo. Can we make it bit later, say 8:30? So for the most part, people are not aware of the following conversational mechanism and would be hard-pressed to articulate how they can carry a conversation. Furthermore, people don't necessarily abide by the rules all the time. They may interrupt each other or talk over each other even when the current speaker has clearly indicate a desire to hold the floor for the next 2 minutes to finish the argument. So alternatively, a listener may not take up a cue from a speaker to answer a question or take over the conversation, but instead continue to say nothing, even though the speaker may be making it glaringly obvious that it is the listener's turn to say something. Oftentimes, a teacher will try to hand over the conversation to a student in a seminar by staring at them and asking a specific question, only to see that the student look at the floor and say nothing. The outcome is embarrassing silence, followed by either the teacher or another student picking up the conversation again. Okay, so back channeling to signal continue following. Back channeling, example, and okay, so body orientation, such as moving away from or closer to someone, gaze or staring straight at someone, or glazing away and gesturing, for example, raising of arms, are also used in different combination when talking in order to signal to other when someone wants to hand over or to take up a turn in a conversation. So that's the meaning of back channeling. Is it more conversational rules, yung verbal rituals, and implicit and explicit cues. An example of an implicit cue is when a participant look at their watch, signaling indirectly to the other participant that they want the conversation to draw to a close. The other participant may choose to acknowledge this cue or carry on and ignore it. Either way, the first participant may then offer an explicit signal by saying, example, well, I have to go now. I got a lot of work to do. Or, oh dear, look at the time. I gotta run and have to meet someone. Following the acknowledgement by the other participant or such implicit and explicit signals, the conversation draw to a close with a farewell ritual. So the different participants take turns saying goodbye, bye, see you. Okay, so repeating themselves several times until they finally separate. Okay, okay, so breakdown in conversation. So when someone says something that is misunderstood, sample speaker will repeat with emphasis. Okay, so other kinds of breakdown conversation arise when someone says something that is ambiguous and the interlocutor misinterpret it to mean something else. In such situation, the participants will collaborate to overcome the misunderstanding by using repair mechanism. Consider the following conversation example. When A say, "Can you tell me the way to get to the multiplex Ranger Cinema?" Then B responds, "Yes, you go down here for 2 blocks and then take a right." So pointing to the right. Proceed until you get to the light and then it's on the left. Then A again. Also, I go along here for a couple of blocks and then take a right and the cinema is at the light pointing ahead of him. Then B, no, you go down the street for a couple of blocks, so gesturing more vigorously than before, the street to the right of him while emphasizing the word this. Then the A answer, I thought you meant it that one, so it's this one pointing at the same direction as the other person. And B responds, yes, that's right, this one. Okay. So, detecting breakdowns in conversation requires that the speaker and the listener both pay attention to what others say or does not say. Once they have understood the nature of the failure, they can go about repairing it. And show in the previous example, when the listener misunderstands what have been communicated, the speaker repeats what they said earlier using stronger voice, intonation, and more exaggerated gesture. So this allows the speaker to repair the mistake and be more explicit with the listener, allowing them to understand and follow better what are saying. Listener may also signal when they don't understand. Okay. So what happens in social media conversation? The questioners, do same conversational rules apply? Okay, so are there more breakdowns? So how do people repair them? Via phone, email, instant messaging, or texting? Okay, as a people usually cannot see each other when communicating by email or text. They have to rely on other means of preparing the conversation when things are left unsaid or unclear. For example, when someone proposes an ambiguous meeting time where the date and the day um, given don't match up the month, the person receiving the message may begin their reply by asking politely, "Did you mean this month or June?" Rather than badly stating that the other that person, for example, the 13th May is not a Wednesday. Okay. When someone does not reply to an email or text when the sender is expecting them to do so, it can put them in quandary as what to do next. If someone does not reply to an email within a few days, then the sender might send them a gentle nudge message that diminish any blame. For example, uh, I am not sure if you got my last email as I was using different account. So rather than explicitly asking them why they have not answered the email, they sent when texting. Depends on whether it's a dating, family, or business related to text that has been sent. When starting to dates, some people will deliberately wait a while before replying to a text as a form of playing games and trying not to appear to be overly keen. If they don't reply at all, it's a generally accepted notion that they are not interested and no further text should be sent. Okay? So in contrast, okay, sabi nga, so in contrast, in other contexts, double texting has become unacceptable in social norm as a way of reminding someone, okay, without sounding too rude. To reply explicitly implies that the sender understand that the recipient has overlooked the first text because they were too busy or doing something else at the time. There's Okay, so another thing, emails and texts can also appear ambiguous, especially when things are left unsaid. For example, the use of ellipses, okay, at the end of sentence can make it difficult to work out when what the sender intended when using it. Was it indicate something has was best left unsaid? The sender is agreeing to something, but their heart is not in it, or simply that the sender did not know what to say. So, pwedeng yun yung mga pwedeng meaning ng ellipsis, di ba? So, this email or text convention puts the onus on the receiver to decide what is meant by ellipsis and not on the sender to explain what they mean or what they meant. Di ba? So, yun yung dilemma using an ellipsis. So, remote conversation. So much research on how to support conversation when people are distant to each other. Okay. Um, the telephone was invented in the 19th century by Alexander Graham Bell, enabling two people to talk to one another at a distance. Since then, a number of other technologies have been developed that support synchronous remote conversation, including video phones that were developed in 1960s or 60s to 70s. In the late 80s and 90s, a range of media spaces were subject of experimentation. Audio, video, and computer systems were combined to extend the world of desks, chairs, walls, and ceilings. The goal was to see whether it was possible for people to distribute over the space and different time zones could communicate and interact with one another as if they were actually physically present. Okay, sa early video phone and visual phone. Okay. So, video window system, Bellcore, 1989. It shares space that allow people 50 miles apart to carry conversation in the same room, drinking coffee together. Okay. It has 3 by 8 picture windows between two sites with video and audio. People did interact via the windows, but strange things happen. Okay, sketch up. This is sketch up a video window. Excuse. So finding of how video window system was used. Talk constantly about the system. Spoke more to other people in the same room rather than in other room. Mm, when I try to get closer to someone in other place, had opposite effect when out of range of camera and microphones. So no way of monitoring this. Excuse. An example of early media space, again, kanina, binasa natin, was the video window that was developed to enable people in different locations to carry up a conversation as they would do if they were drinking coffee together in the same room. So two lounge areas that were 50 miles apart were connected via a 3-foot by 5-foot picture window onto which video image of each location were projected. The large size enabled viewers to see a room of people roughly the same size of themselves. A study of its use showed that many of the conversation that took place between the remote conversation were indeed indistinguishable from similar face-to-face interaction, with the difference being that they spoke a bit louder and constantly talk about the video system. So other research on how people interact when using video conference has shown that they tend to project themselves more, take longer conversational turns, and interrupt each other or less. Since this early research, video conferencing has come of age. The availability of cheap webcams, cameras now embedded as a default in tablets, laptops, and phones has greatly helped um, make video conferencing mainstream. So there are numerous platforms available from which to choose both free and commercial. So many video conferencing apps, for example, Zoom, Google Meet, also allow multiple people at different sites to connect synchronously to indicate who has the floor. Screen effects are often such enlarging the person who is talking to take up the most of the screen or highlighting their portal when they take the floor. The quality of the video has also improved, making it possible for people to appear more lifelike most setup. So this is the most noticeable in high tele present rooms that use multiple high definition camera with eye tracking feature and direction microphones. So the effect can be make the remote people appear more present by projecting their body movement, action, voice, and facial expression to the other location. Okay, success, Skype success. So yung Skype dati, di ba? It's a global household name. So seeing other on a screen enables more intimacy than audio phone. It enables people to get to know each other better, less awkward for young children. Okay. So, yung Skype, sabi nga, success ng Skype, allows you to, kasi yung Skype is allow you to make both video and voice call to your personal and business contact. Okay? While email and instant messaging certainly have their place in modern communication, having actual conversation with someone helps strengthen your relationship with that person. Diba? So yun yung naging advantage ng mga video conferencing with emails or voice call. Then we have the 3D virtual world. Okay, example, no, 2007, yung Second Life, over 8 million user. So what kind of conversation take place in this environment? Okay. Virtual world such as yung Second Life have become popular place for learning and socializing. Unfortunately, people have visually impaired cannot interact in a visual capacity. A command-based interface called TextSL was developed to enable them to participate using a reader. So commands can be used to enable the user to move their avatar around, interact with others, and find about the environment in which they are located. Okay. Then we have the VoIP. Okay, so VoIP calls by computers are free except maybe for sometimes, siyempre, yung mga ISPs natin. So generally, most users use VoIP calls as a free. So VoIP or yung voice requires hardware device such as a phone to record the voice message, a software application that allows you send voice chat, internet connection to send voice chat over. Okay. So Facebook and Twitter. Okay, so everyone uses Facebook and Twitter. So, ultimately, Facebook's purpose is to connect people with their friends and family. So usually people use Facebook to share photos, videos, and general updates of their lives. And yung Twitter naman natin, on the other hand, is used to share ideas, real-time information, and trending news. While people may also use Twitter to connect with friends and family, they're largely used for bigger purpose, to connect to the wider world as a whole. It's important to consider different purpose on Twitter versus Facebook. Okay, so sabi nga, Twitter is primarily meant for sharing ideas, while Facebook is meant for connecting with friends and family. Then we have the telepresence. So, what is telepresent? Okay, so there are now numerous platforms available, okay, which to choose both free and commercial. So many video conferencing apps, example again, Zoom allow multiple people at different sites to connect synchronously. To indicate who has the floor, screen effects are often used, such as enlarging person who's talking and taking up the floor. Okay, so another way of describing this development is term of the degree of telepresence. By this, we mean the perception of being there when physically remote. For example, robots, for example, have been built with telepresence in mind to enable people to attend events and communicate with others by controlling them remotely instead of sitting in the front of a screen from their location and seeing the remote place solely through a fixed camera. On the other place, they can look around the remote place by controlling the camera's eye, which are placed on the robot and physically moving in around. For example, a telepresent robots have been developed to enable children who are in hospital to attend school by controlling their assigned robots to roam around the classroom. So that's the closest, sabi nga, somewhat oversimplified example of the telepresent. Okay, so telepresence has historically been considered more advanced version of video conferencing that uses superior technology to allow meeting participants to stream high quality audio and video. The catch here is the technology telepresence require you to have a robust technical equipment across all user. Uh, Example, webcam, laptop, speaker, desktop for amazing meeting experience, di ba? Besides the higher quality of audiovisual, experiencing telepresence is like talking to your remote audience in person without any ambient distraction. Okay, it's called telepresence because it gives you experience of being teleported somewhere else to be in your audience present, like wearing a virtual reality headset to experience a parallel universe that exists in the virtual world. A telepresent meeting hugely amplifies your experience of video conferencing and provides a immersive, true-to-life meeting experience. So that's the advantage. Okay, so of having a telepresent. Okay, next we have the hyper mirror. Okay, so what is a hyper mirror? So we have an example here. People in different places are supposed superimposed on the same screen to make they appear as if same space. So woman in white sweater is in a different room to other three. Okay? So hypermirror is a video mediated communication that includes reflected image of user is reported. So the user in the system present in front of respective local cameras can communicate with each other. They are not required to wear or operate any equipment. So the image taking at the respective local sites are used to create composite reflective image which represent a virtual room where all users seem to be present. So this composite image is outputted to the respective local screen. So result of experiments particulated by user indicate that the system can provide such high reality to the composite image that many users show a tendency to talk to the screen even when the target person is locally present. Okay, so creating a personal space in hypermirror. So to in this room are invading the virtual personal space of other person by appearing to the physically on top of woman on a white sweater. Okay, so the two in the room move apart to allow person in other space more virtual person space. So everyone happy. Next we have the bi reality. Okay, so by reality, also known as the mutually immersive telepresent, uses a teleoperated robotics surrogate to provide an immersive telepresent system for face-to-face interaction. A by reality, again, is interaction are facilitated by providing the following feature. Wide visual field, high resolution visual field, both remote participants and user appear life-size, gaze preservation, meaning people know where people are looking, remote colors are perceived accurately, high dynamic range audio directional sound field, head height is preserved. Okay, so these are the sample. So the people both attending, okay, CHI, okay. So people remotely attend the CH conference via telepresent technologies. So it helps to increase access to the conference for remote participant who would otherwise to enable to attend uh, due to mobility impairments, chronic health issues, or temporary travel limitation or cost restriction. Okay, so this is an example of a telepresent robot. Okay, so as you can see, pwede siya mag-roam dun sa venue. So, telepresent robots are also being investigated to determine whether they can help people have development difficulties visit places remotely such as museum. Okay, so pinag-aaralan na rin yan. Okay, so this is an example of a telepresent room. So how much realism is needed in telepresent to make it compelling? So telepresent is a room try to make the remote people appear to be lifelike by using multiple high definition cameras with eye tracking features and directional microphone. Okay? Coordination mechanism. When a group of people act to interact together, they need to coordinate themselves. About playing football, navigating a ship. So they use nonverbal and verbal communication, schedule, rules, convention, shared and external representation. Okay, so co-present, technologies that enable to co-located groups to collaborate more effectively when working, learning, and socializing. So example, Smartboard, Surface, Wii, and Kinect. Again, telepresent is an integrated solution that allows you to collaborate with people at remote location. Okay, it consists of three individual components. Okay, so telepresence allows real-time two-way collaboration between people who are not in the same location. They are able to speak as if they are in the same room and share data with ease. So these technologies allows for greater communication and collaboration and provides benefits to your business. Or okay, so these are the benefits of a telepresent. Okay, first again, robust communication. So speaking is only one type of human communication. We also use nonverbal communication like body language and facial expression. So when you remotely join a meeting by phone, participation is limited, which can leave out a big portion of what is actually being communicated. So in telepresence, it allows more visual collaboration so you can communicate more effectively. Okay, so Next is the human interaction. In body language, sabi nga, is more than 50% of communication. So with telepresent, each participant is present and visible through the entire meeting, keeping them engaged. Being able to see facial expression and body language allow the impact of the message to be more effectively communicated. As a participant, being visible reduce the likelihood of distraction or multitasking throughout the meeting. Okay, it support business enablement. So businesses need ways to elevate bottlenecks to growth and progress. Enabling your business to collaborate and communicate without inconveniences is a key benefits of telepresence. It also cut down on travel. So travel is exhausting on people, on organization, and on budgets. So why hop on a plane when you can instantly collaborate with other anywhere in the world, di ba? So being able to utilize communication tools uh, and technology with telepresent can reduce time and expenses that come with traveling for meeting or presentation. Fast turnaround. Okay. So when you think about telepresent as a way of it to limit travel costs, it increase effective communication, build engagement, provide business enablement. Okay. And face-to-face coordinating mechanism. Okay. So speak in order to give information or talk in order to give information or express idea or feeling, converse or communicate by spoken words. So that's the meaning of ano sabi nga, talk central. When we think about communication, okay, so we most often focus on how we exchange information using words. While verbal communication is important, human relied on non-verbal communication for thousands of years before we developed the capability to communicate with words. So non-verbal communication is a process of generating meaning using behavior other than words. Rather than thinking of non-verbal communication as the opposite of or as separate from verbal communication, it's more accurate to view as operating side by side as a part of the same system. Yet as a part of the same system, they still have an important differences. Then the formal meeting. So formal meeting is a pre-planned gathering of two or more people who have assembled for the purpose of achieving a common goal through a verbal interaction. So these meetings are held at a specific time, at a defined place, and according to agreed agenda. So awareness mechanism. Uh, Awareness involves knowing who is around, what is happening, and who is talking with whom. For example, when attending a party, people move around the physical space, observing what's going on and who is talking to whom, eavesdropping on others' conversation, and passing on gossip to others. So specific kind of awareness is peripheral awareness. Okay, this refers to a person's ability to maintain and constantly update a sense what is going on in the physical and social context by keeping an eye on what is happening in the periphery of their vision. This might include noticing whether people are in good or a bad mood by the way they are talking, how fast they drink, and food being consumed, who has entered or left the room, how long someone's been absent, and whether a lonely person in a corner is finally talking to someone. So all the while, we are having conversation with someone else. The combination of direct observation and peripheral monitoring keeps people informed and updated of what's happening in the world. Okay, so that's awareness mechanism. Okay, so another form of awareness as have been studied is the situational awareness. So this refers to being aware of what is happening around you in order to understand how information, events, and your own action will affect on ongoing and future events. Having good situational awareness is critical in technology-rich working domain, such as an aircraft control or operating theater, where it's necessary to keep abreast of a complex and continuously changing information. People who work closely together also develop various strategies for coordinating their work based on up-to-date awareness of what others are doing. This especially support uh, interdependent tasks where the outcomes of one person activity is needed for others to be able to carry out their task. For example, when putting on a show, the performer will constantly monitor what each other's doing in order to coordinate their performance efficiently. So the metaphorical expression, example, close knit teams, amplifies this way to collaboration. People become highly skilled in reading and tracking what others are doing and the information to which they are paying attention. Designing technologies to support awareness. Okay, since the establishment of computer-supported collaboration work as a research area, computer advances have changed the paradigm of how technology is applied. To improve the performance of collaborative scenarios. Um, Notification are important part of this improvement. Technological system has been applied in order to provide collaborators with a sufficient awareness to keep a task going with human-computer interaction and computer-supported cooperative work research. So the notion technologically mediated awareness is often used for allowing relevant people to maintain a mental model of activities, behavior, and status information about each other so they can organize and coordinate work or other joint activities. The initial conception of awareness focused largely on improving productivity and efficiency within the work environments with the new social, cultural, and commercial needs and the emergence of novel computing technologies. So the focus of technologically initiated awareness has extended from environments to people's everyday interaction. Okay, so the reactable experience. Okay, so yung reactable experience natin is an innovative electronic musical instrument that enables everyone to experiment with sound. Change its structure and be creative is truly engaging, fun, and visually appealing way, unlike anything you have ever known before. It's a unique musical instrument that bridges the gap between digital and tangible experience of music creation using cube with pre-assigned function to manipulate sound and create music. So that's a use of reactable experience. The reflect table. So what is reflect table? So this one is reflect is a meeting table equipped with array of 8 by 16 LEDs and 3 microphones in its center. So the microphones separate the sound inputs into a channel corresponding to each of the participants. So two kind of information are extracted. First, the amount of speech for each participant and their involvement based on the prosody of their speech. So this data is visualized on the LED array. The Dynamo system. Okay, so Dynamo is the world's first communication device with both a dynamic displays and digitized speech capabilities. It is the smallest device in the Dynabox family of products and is often stepping stone for future communication success. Okay, so for people who want to digitize solution to their communication challenges, Dynamo combines advanced digital technology Okay, so it can record up to 25 minutes of digitized speech or sounds with a dynamic display to give individuals a quick and easy access to large vocabulary without needing to change and maintain the paper overlays. Then we have the notification system. So notification system. So user notifies others as opposed to being constantly monitored. So provide information about share objects and progress or collaborate tasks. So example natin dyan is yung Bubble. So yung Bubble is a real-time chat using socket.io or input-output. Messages are sent to all who are connected instantly without waiting. So Bubble offers several advantages over other chats. One of the biggest is drastically reduce server resources use specifically as a new member join the chat. Next, we have the Sokoko, show who is where and who is meeting with whom. Okay, so Sokoko is the online workplace where distributed teams come to work together each day, side by side. So no matter where team members might be, down the hall or across a campus or halfway around the world, working in your organization online office is even more productive than being the same floor or in the same room. Okay, so what's next? So besides perpetual sharing and broadcasting of information, knowledge, and personal content, okay, so we have live blogging, records, what's ano to, live log. Life log is a personal records of one daily's life in varying amount of detail for a variety of purposes. So the record contains a comprehensive data set of human activities. The data can be used to increase knowledge about how people live their life. So para siyang ano, online diary. Okay, so we have micro chatting. So beyond Twitter and Snapchat. So microchat is simply a PHP-based chat script. It is a simple PHP-based chat script with a very easy installation. The script is designed for smaller traffic and so no database is required. So you only need upload and files and the script works on fine. And they look and feel easy editable in CSS. So summary, social mechanism like turn-taking conversion enables collaborate and coordinate with our activities. Keeping aware of what others are doing and letting others know what you're doing are important aspects of collaboration, working, and socializing. So many technology systems have been built to support telepresent and co-present. Okay, so in sociology, okay, so social interaction is a dynamic sequence of social action between individuals who modify their action and reaction due to action by their interaction partner. Social interaction can be differentiated into accidental, repeated, regular, and regulated. So again, it's a exchange between two or more individuals. So this interaction form the basis of social structure and therefore are key object of basic social inquiry and analysis. Social interaction can be studied between groups or larger social groups, diba? So social structure and culture are founded upon social interaction by interacting with one another. People design rules, institution, and system within each they seek to live. Symbols are used to communicate the expectation of a given society to those new to it, either children or outsider. Through this broad scheme of social development, one sees how social interaction lies at its core. Okay, again, sabi nga, human beings are inherently social. People will always need to collaborate, coordinate, and communicate with one another. And the diverse range of application web-based services and technologies that have emerged enable them to do so in more extensive and diverse way. So in this, okay. So, okay, so that's it for today. Thank you guys.